What's up, Marvel fans? I'm Steven from the Hills Maniacs, and after seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I came up with a theory that sort of connects everything together in the MCU and what's to come, and I believe that the god of mischief, Loki himself, will become the savior of the multiverse. Here's why. So if you stuck around for the one of the two post-credit scenes from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which just came out today as of this video being recorded, you know that there was a scene where Loki and Mobius are in some kind of, we don't know specifically what time period it is. It looks like it could be like a long time ago, but they're definitely back in the past, the way everybody's dressed. They're standing there, and out comes Kang walking up onto the stage under the name Victor Timely, and he's some kind of, I don't know if he's supposed to be a magician or some kind of motivational speaker for this crowd of people that are standing there, but we know that that's Kang. And Loki talks to Mobius and tells him that's the guy that we encountered, like that him and Sylvie encountered. And Mobius says, I thought you said he's supposed to be some scary dude. And Loki says he is, and then it kind of just shows Loki's face and cuts to black. Well, the last time we saw Loki, obviously, was the end of the Loki series, where he encountered He Who Remains, aka a variant of Kang the Conqueror, who of course was the villain in Quantumania. And they had that whole run-in where He Who Remains explained that, or different things about time and how the timelines work, and that there are multiple variants of him all trying to basically fight to be the ruler of the multiverse, and that they're going to destroy everything if He Who Remains isn't there to control the timeline through the Time Variance Authority and all that stuff. It's better explained in the Loki series, so go watch that first. But if you're a Marvel fan and you have seen that, then you know what I'm talking about. And based off of that post-credits scene, I think that I think what this is leading to is that in season 2 of Loki, him and Mobius and maybe some of the other TVA members, after he gets them to remember everything that happened, because it seemed like they had their memories wiped at the end of the first season, I think they're going to be hunting variants of Kang. And that's kind of what we see in this post-credits scene, is that that's only one variant of Kang that they found at some kind of time period in history, and they're going to try and take him down, and then maybe they'll fight some other ones. Well, this got me thinking that, what if Loki's true glorious purpose that he mentions all throughout his arc in the MCU since the beginning, since the first Thor movie and everything else, he's always talking about he has a glorious purpose, and that he's meant to be like a ruler and everything else. Well, what if his role in the MCU, his glorious purpose, is to become the ruler of time? Like, what if he becomes the new He Who Remains? That's what it seems to be, in my opinion at least, setting up in the MCU, especially making Loki a big deal with his own series, and that being the first time we actually see Kang the Conqueror on screen. I think that this is all leading to Loki sacrificing himself, essentially, and being the one to become the new, like, He Who Remains at the end of time, who will somehow find a way to put everything back together again, sort of, because we know the multiverse is broken now. We know there's a lot of incursions going on, and we're going to see a lot more of, like, the broken multiverse and stuff like that. And I think what a better way to have Loki's story come full circle than for him to be basically the king of time at the end of all time. You know, like, he'll rule over the timeline, he'll keep an eye on it, at the sacrifice of him no longer being allowed to live a normal life, essentially, which is exactly what He Who Remains Kang did, you know, in the events of Loki. He created the TVA and all that kind of stuff. I think that's a perfect arc for Loki, especially, he keeps getting killed, but he keeps coming back and stuff, and it seems like Loki's can never die, and that was kind of the whole premise of the series, was that, like, what is the true purpose of a Loki, what are Lokis meant to do, and there's so many different variants of Loki that all kind of have that same premise of they all want something, they all want to be the ruler of something, they all have a glorious purpose, as they mention. I think that's the perfect, glorious purpose to have Loki fulfill, is that he's going to... I don't exactly know how it'll play out, but I think that's how they defeat Kang, is that he will... Either reality will be completely erased and Loki will somehow be the one to put it back together and create the sacred timeline all over again without any more Kangs in it, and Loki will rule it at the end of time. I don't exactly know how he would do that. I don't even know really how Kang does that exactly, but some kind of technology that does that, and I think that would allow Loki to fulfill his destiny essentially without having to like conquer Asgard and all that kind of stuff. Because if you think about it, Loki was really the one that kind of kickstarted all this. He was the first villain for all of the Avengers as a unit. He's the villain that they fought together. His whole arc in the first Thor movie was that he wanted to rule Asgard because he was jealous of Thor, and he didn't think Thor deserved the throne and thought that he did. He's always wanted to be a king, and we even see that in like the next Thor movie, Thor the Dark World, where he eventually technically overthrows Odin and banishes Odin from Asgard, and he rules under the guise of Odin, like disguises himself as Odin and rules Asgard for a few years. Then in Thor, it picks up in Thor Ragnarok, where Loki's been in charge of Asgard for several years, and that's kind of throwing things off a little bit. The Nine Realms weren't being protected as much as they were when Odin was actually there, because Loki is now Odin, so he's kind of been king of Asgard that whole time. And then of course that leads into Infinity War, where Loki is killed, and then Endgame, where that Loki escapes into the, or takes the Tesseract and disappears and sets off the events of the Loki series. So that's kind of what Loki's been doing. Every variant of Loki we see has some kind of glorious purpose that they talk about, and I think that this is all going to culminate with Loki sitting in the throne at the end of time, essentially, maybe even with Sylvie by his side, the female version of Loki that basically caused all this, essentially, by killing He Who Remains. And he will be the ruler of time and put the multiverse back together again. But let me know what you guys think of this theory down in the comments section. What do you think is next for Loki after seeing the post-credits scene from Quantumania? And how does it tie back into Kang? Where do you think we'll see Kang again? And also be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching the video, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.